Before we dive into this, I wanted to just go over generally what I want to cover in this tutorial series. So I see that a lot going on, like on social media, in terms of the integration between AI and people's lives. And that can be just anyone's career, right? From, data entry, we see it right now in terms of, as we're going to talk about building applications or integrated systems. I know right now you're seeing conversations at Meta and Google, and then of course in movies as well. Actually Hollywood was the first industry, I believe, that was, I would say, attacked by the media with AI around stealing their likeness. And so I think that's why AI immediately got the bad rap because it was like, okay, it was used for nefarious purposes, right? And so I think all of a sudden it people just got really the wrong impression about it. And it's like, okay, there's that, right? The backdrop of this was the emergence of technology just generally in our world, right? Because you had like the Vision Pro was a great product. You had, at the mobile app, you had the emergence of social media. TikTok was starting to take off. I mean, until they started to try to ban it, right? And I believe that at that point, the tech industry was growing at a pace that it was amazing. And then AI was a very great addition to the industry. Similarly to augmented reality, before that was VR, and then before that was the camera phone, right? And then the selfie camera, and then before that was inertia scrolling with the iPhone, and before that was the physical keyboard, and before whatever. The point is, this is just the next step in the evolution. There's in terms of technology. Now, I do think like depending on your industry, that does change. I think different industries are affected differently, but I think this is a great time for people to get into technology more than ever because I do think AI, as it pertains to technology, lowers the barrier more than ever for people just to jump in there and start coding. And so that's why I really want to give like a tutorial series. I know there's a lot of tutorial series out there on YouTube already. Like if you just search like I want to build my first app, you're going to see a bunch of stuff out there. But I do think all those videos now are immediately old. They're antiquated because now with ChatGPT, you those videos can really be shrunk down to like really 2 minutes. And we might not get that far in this video. This video is more so about how to set up your environment and how to think about what's going on in the world. So that's why I really phase this out in parts, right? So again, I think like from the top, my goal is to make sure you stick with it, right? So my goal is A, to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing. B, make sure that you're learning, and C, to make sure that you stick with it, right? I think it's very easy just to like throw stuff at you and just say, okay, here's all this smart tech shit. And then you go and like make an app and you like go about your day and say, oh, that's cool. And then just like go off. I want more people in the tech industry, right? Regardless of like your creed, makeup, how smart you are, right? I have a video on my TikTok about that. I think in movies, the tech person is always seen as this extremely smart person, when in reality, I work with a lot of these people. Like, anyways, enough about that. So, so let's jump in without further ado of me rambling. So, all right, so where do we start? Right. So where do we start? That's always the question I get when you talk about like, how to build an app is always like, where do I start? And I always tell people, you start where you want to, right? Whatever makes the most sense to you, right? Like have fun with it. If you want to build like a game, make a game. You want to make a website, make a website. Like it's your world. Like do what you want to do, right? If you want to go read a book first and that's how you like to learn, go do that. If you like to get your hands dirty, go do that. Don't let someone tell you how to learn. But so I'm going to give you more of a general approach of what's going on. and then you could adapt whatever you like. But again, like, so let's just start like what's going on here. Okay, so all right, so let's see if this is going to play nicely. So if you guys are unaware, what I'm going to do here, this application is called Excalidraw. It's super amazing. It's free. So excalidraw.com. I use this all the time, by the way, and you can make like these really pretty shapes. And so, um, so it's really cool. So I'll be drawing on this, right? So what am I going to do? So I'm going to draw what's going on in the mobile world. And what do I mean by that? Like iOS. iOS is what the iPhone runs on. I don't know if you guys can see this, right? There's another world of Android, which I will not forget. I know my Android fans are going to be like, oh no, he's like focused on Android or focused on iOS. I'm not going to forget about Android. We will talk about Android. Android's going to get an entire video. Don't worry about it. But right now, this is going to be just generally focused, right? So let's talk about just at the top, right? You have Apple. All right. So here's the thing, right? Okay. So here's the ecosystem, right? So when people talk about ecosystem, you hear a lot of nerds talk about ecosystem, right? The Apple ecosystem. You hear that all the time, right? Apple has this closed ecosystem. Like what does that even mean, right? This is what they mean by ecosystem, right? It's like this triangle. You have like Apple, well, Apple is a company. You have developers, which at the end of this video series, you're going to be a developer. I don't care to me, if you write one line of code, you're a developer to me. Okay. And then you have you, meaning you as a consumer, right? So you is just whoever the consumer is, like the consumer of these products, right? So the goal is the developers, right, need to get their apps, the code they write to you, right? That's the goal. So when you download TikTok or use Chat GPT, when you download Clash of Clans or any games or what are we using, Twitch or whatever, you as a consumer, you need to download that from somewhere, right? So from your iPhone, you need to go get that, right? So where you guys go to get that is the App Store, right? So from your iPhone, you go grab that from the App Store, right? Traditionally, unless you have a jailbroken iPhone, but we're not going to talk about that. So, all right. So this is the App Store, right? Pretty simple. When you download TikTok on your iPhone, this is all you do. You go to the App Store, right? Apple, as you would imagine, they maintain this App Store, right? This is the closed ecosystem. So this is what they mean. This is closed. Any application that developers write goes through Apple to the App Store to you. That's what it is. Now, conversely, if you look at Android, so here's what they mean with Android. Let's draw the same triangle. All right, let's move over a little bit if I can. All right. So Android meaning like, Google or, any other phone like that, Yahweh and so forth. All right, so let's draw this. And this is all going to come in handy when we start building it. Trust me. There's methods to my madness. All right. All right, so now I do the same thing. Same problem, right? You have developers, you have consumers, you have Android, which is made by Google, which is not even technically true because there's other providers that have like flavors of Android, right? There's Samsung, there's like Yahweh. I know I'm going to spell that wrong, so I'm not going to spell it. There's a lot of companies that Google contracts with that has flavors of Android. We're not going to get into that. The point is, consumers, well, that's a double arrow there. So let me change that. Oh, wrong one. All right. Consumers go to the Google Play Store It's called the Google Play Store, I believe. Google Play Store, similar to the App Store. Uh, uh, uh. Jesus, it's terrible. All right. Similarly, users can also go directly to developers. Android users have the flexibility, and we'll cover this when we're writing code. And this is very important. And this is why people love Android and hate iOS. So, developers, when and you, so this is very important when you're writing code, is that consumers can go right to developers, and developers can go right to users. And Google allows this to happen, right? So this is what it means by open ecosystem, just so you know. So when we're writing code, I mean, can I zoom out? Is it gonna let me? Yeah, okay. And we'll do this side in a second. So developers can do this. I'll just fill this out just so you guys know. We'll cover this. This is called the Google Play Console, where you submit your app. I don't know why I'm making double arrows again. There we go. There we go. So developers write their code, push it to Google Play Console. It goes to Google for review, not Samsung in this case. It goes to Google for review. They make sure that there's no malicious code that runs, that it's not stealing your credit card, there's no crypto scams. So the code that you write and you submit to Google that's on the Google Play Store gets reviewed by Google. Now, if you download any code from developers, right? Let's say you go right to developers' website and you download it, Google goes, that's on you. So if you get hacked or you lose your wallet or whatever, they put a virus on your phone, that's on you. A lot of people love that ability because Google empowers the user. All right, let's go over here. All right. So this thing does not exist. This is not a thing. All right. This is a thing. All right. This is the ugly shape. What do we call it? Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, now we're done. All right. Now, this is super important. You see the difference? You see the difference? This is so when you're coding, this is tantamount. If you're a mobile developer, you have to know this that this line here is going to enable you on the Android side to write different kinds of code. So when we're using ChatGPT, which I have up, or my gosh, oh, is ChatGPT down? Like for reals? Oh my God, it's saying start over. All right, let's see here. I'm just going to give it like false information. Let's see. All right, so ChatGPT is set up. Okay, going back to the diagram. All right, all right. So this is the point. So when people say, okay, so I went over that point 100 times, I really want to nail that home. All right, so let's talk about, because we're going to talk about iOS first. Let's talk about App Store Connect, this guy. So now when we write code and we're going to get all set up, we're going to be a developer. At the end of this, you're going to be like, wow, I'm like a developer. Um, so when we're a developer and we write our code, remember, because Apple doesn't let us get any access to the user, their privacy. We have App Store Connect. So this is what it looks like. I guarantee you've never seen this, right? And that's fine. I'm not a gatekeeper. So the App Store, if you guys go to your phone right now and you later or whatever, and you pull up the App Store on your phone, you're gonna see a bunch of apps, right? Like whatever. Like you've seen it a bunch of times. As a developer, which you're gonna be at the end of this course, you're gonna see this, right? When you make your app, we have to submit it to Apple. This is how we talk to Apple. This is this part. Our users, after we code our app, are going to, you know, download it from the App Store, but we need to get it to them, right? So we need to go on this side. All right, so what does this look like? All right. So as we're coding, Apple gives us access to us. We're developers. We're super cool. We have like this, private access, this secret stuff. So we have access to payments because, as you know, some applications um, accept payments. You have sales and trends, app analytics. They give you some cool stuff. Users and access. Let's get up in some apps. All right. So this is what it kind of looks like. It's kind of cool, right? So this is what you guys have to look forward to. This is kind of neat. Again, this is all built by Apple. This is not. This is $100 a year. I think the price went up. $120 a year. I don't know. Whatever. So so we're going to create an app. This is kind of cool. So this is an app that I'm currently working on, but I just want to show you guys what it would look like. This is like what it would look like. You create an app and you fill out the app information like its name, the category, age rating. You have to answer all these questions because again, Apple is secure. And as you would think, like the ratings, in-app events, all everything here that Apple is going to require. And then once you're done with that, and you coded it up and you're ready to submit it, you're going to click save, right? You're going to click save, and you're going to send it off to Apple, right? So now we coded it up, we sent it off to Apple, and now we're at this part, right? Let me zoom out. Now we're at this part. Now, Apple, and this is why people hate Apple, why they get sued every year, every week. Why Apple gets sued every week is you submit your app to Apple, the motherland, the whatever, the overlord, if you will, and they have to look through your app and they get to decide they get to decide if your application, 1 second. All right. Yeah, so here we are. Okay, so they get to decide if your application is like good. And so whatever they don't like, and they can like have personal vendettas against you. They can say, you know what, your app is ugly. I don't like it, and they can reject it. And then we have to keep working on it and coding it. Um, and we have to, figure that out. Um, Give me a quick second, getting an important text. And all right, cool. So all right, so now that we understand what we're doing, where the app is going, now you can speak intelligently, right? Like, I'm a developer. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm doing. Here's where my app is going. And you're able to articulate if you are an iOS developer or an Android developer, what's the difference between the two, right? If you say, I like a closed platform because that's the type of programmer I am, is more controlled versus I like an Android type of environment because I like to spread my wings and configure things more. You have to know the difference here. So okay, so now we understand that fact. Now back to Apple because we're going to focus on this today, and I want to get you guys up and running. So Now let's have some fun. Now, as you would imagine, because Apple is Apple, we're developers, right? We don't get to have the same fun as these people sometimes, right? As a user, the users get to play with apps and have fun and take selfies. And oh my God, this is so cool. They have a billion apps to use on the App Store. Oh my gosh, the iPhone is so varied. But you're a developer today. So when you live in this closed platform, as you would imagine, we have one App Store Connect, whereas Google has 100 million ways to get to users. Also, as you would imagine, Apple has, well, they have a few ways now. I know, splitting hairs. There's a couple ways you can develop for the iPhone now, I know, but for the most part, there's one accepted way, one overall most common way is using a product called Xcode. All right. So, what is Xcode? So, Xcode is an application that's provided by Apple. Surprise, where you can code up your application, your program, you can run it, you can simulate it, you can test it, you can deploy it, and we're going to go over all of this. It's actually really cool, by the way. I'm trying to like downplay it, but it's really cool. They have really great tools. You can test the iPhone, you can test the Vision Pro, you can test tvOS apps, you can test the Watch OS, and we're going to get into this because but before the end of this, I want an actual running app from scratch, and ChatGPT is going to help us. Now, as you would imagine, where do we start? Because there's a million ways to start. Um, so there's a million ways to start. Give me a quick second. Getting a text. One second. One second. Gotta respond. All right, just responded. Someone in the chat's asking for some private info. He must be an Android user. I don't know. All right. Okay. So, where do we start? So now, because iOS has been around since what, 2007, it's a very mature environment. So there's many things that we can do, right? There's different languages that we can write in. There's different distributions, like in terms of like, how we decide to actually deploy the application to, to the simulator. And this will all make sense later. There's two main worlds with iOS, and this will make sense as well a little bit later. There's Swift, which was developed by Apple. Swift is a programming language. This was developed by Apple. It's a language. There's also React Native. These are two distinct worlds. React Native is JavaScript. I'm sure you guys have heard JavaScript of running around somewhere. So JavaScript is a universal language that a lot of things are coded in from the front end, the back end. There's a lot of apps that you guys use out there from like Instagram. Airbnb was initially written in JavaScript. JavaScript is very ubiquitous. Now the community is split. I mean, it's pretty contentious. It's pretty split, right? There's a lot of people out there. If you Google, they say, if you were to Google it, which one should I use? You're gonna see React Native sucks. You're gonna see Swift sucks. They're both wrong. Ignore both of them. Use whatever makes you feel comfortable. They're both idiots. Honestly, whatever you feel the most comfortable in and you have the most fun in, we're gonna stick to that. So, all right, so here we are. So, we don't know what we're doing. So, we're going to start from scratch. We have no app, right? All we have is a box, some boxes. Like, so, we're going to start from scratch, and ChatGPT is going to help us out. All right. So, hey, help me out. Hey, help me out. I'm new to coding. And by the way, we're going to go with React Native because here's why we're going to go with React Native because it's JavaScript, and that's very important because Later down in the tutorial, we can make websites from JavaScript. We can make backends from JavaScript. It all makes sense later. It's also a language that we can also use to write Android apps as well with React Native. So we're going to go with React Native. So that's why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, so what I'm going to ask ChatGPT is I'm going to say, help me get started, right? Again, I'm going to pretend that I don't know anything. So I'm going to show you the power of AI and how the barrier to get started is lower. Okay. So, hey, help me out. I'm new to coding. Can you help me get started with a React Native application by giving me the commands to set up a project? All right. So, again, what I did here, this is very important too. There's also a skill to using ChatGPT, right? A lot of people think like, oh, ChatGPT is just going to steal my job and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, no. Actually, you have to tell ChatGPT what you want in some form of, some form of specific so that you get the right answer, right? Notice I said React Native. You need to be smart enough to know what that even is. Notice I said application and I also said commands, right? Commands to set up a project, right? We're making a mobile project. I need the commands and it's React Native, right? So, all right, let's hit run. Cool. All right. So here, okay, okay, okay. So let's follow it. Let's like, I don't know anything. Okay, so there's one thing that you guys do have to know. So like, okay, so check this out. So you see how it says, like so the bare minimum is see how it says like, okay, run node v. So what does this mean? Like, what does this mean, right? So in if you're using a Mac, this is also true using Windows as well. This is called an interactive shell. So this is called terminal. So what this is actually, well, I mean, it is a terminal that's running behind your operating system that allows you to usher commands to essentially to make it easier to use your operating system versus actually like manually clicking. So think of it as like a shortcut to use the UI through commands. So this was really what, if you guys were actually like my age, this is how computers looked back in the day before we had these fancy UIs. So again, if you're my age the first thing that you probably thought of when I pulled this up is like, I've seen that before. So welcome back. so, so okay, we do a note. I'm literally following the instructions, literally. So it says to check to see if you have node installed, run node v. All right, I got Node installed. All right, I got npm installed. Sweet. All right, next step. All right, let's do this. Cool, right? ChatGPT is literally telling me how to make an app. Like, all right, all right. Let me just switch directories. All right, so here we go. I ran that, and by the way, if you're confused, and this is the beautiful thing. If you're confused about what's going on, right? If you're like, expo.cli, what is that? Feel free to ask ChatGPT, like, what is that? like what is this, right? Or if you have a question like this terminal, like what is a terminal? Feel free to literally spend 30 minutes off on your own asking, what is a terminal? How is it used? Who created it? What is it? And AI is really good for these things as well. Feel again, through any of these steps, you are confused about like what is X, NPX, because there's different types of developers, right? There's developers that see beginning to end, right? And they don't care about how the sauce is made, so to speak. They don't care. They just want to see the end result and they work their way backwards. And then there's developers that are like, they're very meticulous. They're like, I care about the sauce, right? So if you're a developer that cares about the sauce, well, then care about the sauce, right? Like go in there and right? Like go in there and ask ChatGPT about each individual step, right? Ask ChatGPT, like, like what is Node? And ChatGPT will actually walk you through it. Okay, so we're still going. We're still going. All right, let's see. Xpo installed. All right, here we go. So we're going to run the next command. All right, so I ran that command. It says, do you want to proceed? I say yes. And by the way, if it were I would have some more fun. I would have music playing. I would be jamming out, but I don't want to get a copyright strike. You guys should be having, when you're coding, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like I would be having music out, chilling, but again, I don't want to be sued, so can't do it. Okay. Okay. So here we go. CD into my first, I'm literally following instructions. Navigate to your project. It goes, if you're using Expo, or oh yeah, if you're using Expo, use that or Expo Start. I actually used Expo, I believe. Uh, I think I did. Yeah, 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 yeah. I did. Okay, and then Expo Start. Actually, you know what? Wait, let me see something real quick. All right, and then let's do 7 p.m. All right, and then it says Mac is required. Okay, so this last step. Um, it says, okay, for this, okay, so I ran this command and it says for the last step, run this command. And it says, oh my gosh, a Mac is required. So let's see this. All right. All right. So this is also telling us what to do. Looks like there's an issue here. So again, like as you're going through as a developer, right, you're going to hit these roadblocks, right? And that's totally okay. Like, from here, you're seeing an issue like React Native depends on CLI, fix your package.json to include, right? And you could actually ask ChatGPT, like, what does this mean? you know? Actually, let me stop that. I didn't get my question in. Mhm. You see that? See that? So I asked ChatGPT, like, or what is that? I hit this error, like what the heck? I'm confused, right? Because you might not have someone like me that can help you out, right? And so ran into an error. I asked ChatGPT, like, what the hell? What? And then it tells me, okay, run this command. All right, cool. All right. And then it says, okay, check to see if it's, installed correctly. Okay. Looks like it is. Okay, try running your app again. Looks like Let's see if this is going to work. There we go. Now we have an app. Okay, so now we have an app. We did a little bit of debugging, but we're there. We're there. We made it. We made it. A little bit of some. We had to persevere. Okay, check it out. Check it out. Okay, so effectively, what we did is I want you guys to see this really quick. Ignore that. Ignore that. I want to get back to where we were. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry, I'm clicking around. I'm clicking around. Clicking around. Here we go. I'm clicking around. Okay, here we go. So So here's where we are. So we created a project. We ran, I don't know, three commands, and we created a project called Awesome Project. And now it's actually running within the mobile app, right? So this is pretty cool. So I want to leave you guys with something. So this is kind of cool. I know you guys are probably tired right now. I think we've been going on an hour. So look at this. So this is kind of should make you excited for the next session. So you guys see this here really quick. So let me close this really quick. So this is the actual code itself. And what's really exciting again is these tools are so powerful. Chat GPT sort of helped, maybe, but whatever. Um, and next time we'll use DeepSeek. Why not? Okay, so here's the application. All right. So you see how this says step one. Let's see who's in the chat. All right. Jai White. Check it out. Change to Jai White. Yvonne. Yvonne. All right. You see that? So, so the updates happen in real time. So you guys can see how I changed the names here to the people in the chat. So this is what you guys have to look for. Look forward to tomorrow. We're actually going to dive into the code and show how to make real time updates. But again, we took 30 minutes to fully set up a coded environment and we made real-time updates to the app. And so next time we'll actually go through actually, how to set up your environment to code and what this all looks like. And we'll actually walk through and have you thinking like a developer. So thanks for sticking with me. It's been exciting. I'm actually excited for this journey. And again, the part two is going to be very heavy into the coding. So I'm super excited. And cool. All right. Peace.